balancing women's emotions and sometimes, you know, people have got thought processes towards the situation, not even in your relationship, outside sources. People can try and throw two pences in, but we've got it under control, and it's a good understanding, and it's a lot of respect, and it works well, man. I see my kids as much as I can. My kids are together as much as I can. Like, my dad never brought me around. Look, I've got 6 brothers and sisters on my dad's side, and I only met 2 of my sisters about 3 years ago. I met my little brother Jacob, who's in London. I met him about 10 years ago. I had to go down to London. His mum messaged me on Facebook. I don't really know any of my siblings except for Jacob, like on my dad's side. They didn't bring us together, you know. There's a time when my dad must have took me to the hospital to see his mum while she was dying. And he was just going on with himself, and I was actually angry inside me, because he was taking me to see his mum who was dying, but I didn't have a relationship with her, and that was his fault. So when he was upset, I was upset for him, but at the same time, I wasn't really truly upset about the situation, and that frustrated me. So I refuse now to have that situation occur with my boys. So I have them all together. They all go to nanas, they all see the aunties, they all see my sister, they all see the cousins. They know they've got a big family. We've got a very big family, so I keep them all around each other as much as I can. And, you know, I do the best job I can, Luke.
So trying to mend that disconnect, because I mean, it just sounds like a complicated situation, but like you said, doing the best you can. And I think now,
whilst being a profile,
that's what I'm saying,
whilst running one of the you know, most known brands in the UK, you know, and whilst trying my hardest to work on my own self-development, it's a challenging situation, but we always say God gives his toughest challenges to his strongest soldiers, so I embrace that aspect as well.
Yeah. And then, so you talk about your MMA career, obviously, you were saying before prison you started, you were in one of the biggest gyms you could have in Manchester, around all these people that become legends, and then you come out, and obviously you're like raw coming out, you know what I mean? And then you find your way into an MMA gym. How did that journey start? Where did you start? Let's say that's officially when you started training, when you come out. Like, where were you training then? What were the people that were around you, and who inspired you to you know, to become who you are? So
what happened was I was training pro. I had 2 pro contests. I went to Wolseley, then I got into the Ultimate Fighter. Went to the Ultimate Fighter trial, got turned down because I didn't have enough fights. And then they told me to come back, and then when I had more fights, so they wanted 3 fights minimum, yeah, you know, innit? 3 fights minimum. So I went back, won a fight in Liverpool. That was my second pro that I won, and I was just needed one more, then I was going to go to the show. But I was under operation at the time by the police, so I got arrested for firearms. 3 days after my pro debut, I went to prison, stayed focused in jail. You know, but before I went to jail, I was training with Rampage Jackson, Mike Bisbin, Paul Kelly, you know, at the Wolseley with some of the best fighters in the world. And that within itself, just being around the energy, was enough motivation for me to know. And I was competing with other fighters in there, and I was doing really well in the gym on a regular basis. So that environment was enough for me to keep going. When I went to prison, I was like, nah, I know where I'm going to get when I get out. And not once did I falter with my belief system. I knew that I'd get out and continue. And then obviously when I came out, started with Jimmy Warled, Andre Winner, Rough House, did a bit up there because I was at Mansfield Pure Gym, and it wasn't far from the prison that I was staying at. So I used to go to their gym, carried on training with them, and then come back to Manchester, linked up with Brendan, and then everything else from there with my Uncle Anthony, and we just worked hard. And then obviously with Carl, and then to Manchester top team, and the rest is history, man.
Because then it's been, how many fights you had now?
What am I now, 12 and 5? So it's been 17 pro fights, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, 17 pro fights over a long time, you know, like I said, with all the other things that you have going on. And I know, I always say, like fighting, you can have your highest highs and your lowest lows. Like some of the losses I've had in my life have been devastating in the moment and heartbreaking in the time. And obviously, coming up your last fight, with everything that happened to you with Bellator, and then what is your mindset now with the fighting game? How do you feel, you know, with the Bellator thing happening now? PFL have bought Bellator, and it's all like moving around like under your feet, like you can't control it. Yeah. Obviously, Yeah, it's a young man's sport, and you're getting
Yeah,
on
of
a bit.
course.
So it's like, well, where are your motivations now when it comes to fighting?
Well, when it comes, to be fair with you, bro, I'm still ready to go. Like, but the reality is what we have to work with. I've got my brand that needs me right now to focus on it. There's a lot of amazing things happening with BADR at the moment. There's a lot of amazing opportunities that are on the table for us. I've developed an amazing team, and my focus is on BADR at the moment, Luke. It's like, for me, it's the brand is going to be, you know, it's got the potential to be, you know, one of the biggest brands to ever come out of the UK, and the amount of opportunities that are on the table for us right now, it's a no-brainer that my focus has to stay with the brand. So, you know, I balanced it well throughout my career, but now it's time to put some focus in on the brand and take the brand. Obviously, we just launched the kids collection. Well, we're launching the kids collection. So with fighting itself, I'm setting probably next year, April. You know, I'm in conversations with a few promotions, some major promotions. I'm in conversations, MMA and boxing. You know, I was just on the phone to Darren Till then. Darren Till saying, listen, tell that Misfits Boxing we'll get on there. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunities on the table, and for me, I just have to make sure I make the right decision. You know, I don't want to put myself in a fight just to fight. And when I fight to win. Do you know what I'm saying? My last fight, I got caught cold. Well, I got caught. Yeah, second round, I was just finding my groove. You know, Thibault Gotti, you know, he was in the UFC, putting a lot of pressure on a lot of fighters. No one ever made him take a back step. No one. I watched all his fights. I watched him fight Oban Mercy, Nasrat, all of them. No one put him on his back foot. He was always a front foot fighter. And I think in that fight, I put so much emphasis in my mind about being able to break that part of his game that once I did it, that was the fight won. So I went into autopilot and just glided and was having so much fun, and he caught me. And that's where, for me, it's like, okay, well, I didn't get out. I didn't get beat up. I got caught. It's a difference. If I got beat up where I'm like, oh, I'm broken and he's beating me and he's hitting me and I'm going down, I'm thinking, wow, I don't want no more of this. That's when the fight's been beaten out of you, but the fight didn't get beat out of me. He poked me in my eye second round and started apologizing. That's when I knew again. I thought, you fucking scared, bro. I thought, you scared. And I was so infuriated that he poked me. I was like, don't say so. No, that he said sorry. I'm like, bro, no, you're not saying sorry. But that's where my downfall, my experience should have came in, because I should have stayed composed at that point, because I knew I was teeped him to the gut. I had him weakened. I kicked him again. You watch that fight back. I kicked him twice in his gut, and he winced. And as I've gone in, I thought, right, I've got you now. So I opened up, squared up, and he caught me on the way in. So after I finished that fight, it's like, well, I look back and I reflect and I think, you didn't get beaten up, you got caught. And for me, caught's not enough for me to quit. For me to quit is when I know I'm in there and I'm like, I don't want to be in here no more. And I was having so much fun in that fight, bro. Luke, I was having so much fun that when I got beat, I got back to the changing room thinking, you knobhead. You took it for granted. You was just playing it. Because once he did that poke mistake, I thought, knobhead, I was like, I'm going to murder this kid. I'm going to destroy you. And it was like, nah, you got caught. And that's another level of experience that I learned from that fight. But in terms of the fight within me, fight is still strong, bro.
That exact same thing happened to me against a fighter called Jorge Gonzalez, where I was piecing him up all over the place, had no problem, and couldn't miss. But tough Mexican kid just took these shots. And then I like faded off to one side and he threw a right hook and I blocked it, but he threw like a double right hook and he just clipped me. And I was at the end of the fight. And I was like, how'd that even happen? So I know exactly what
you know that feeling.
Because I was in complete control of the fight.
So then it don't feel like a loss when you come out of there. It's like I come out and I was kind of like, in my head, because remember, we all go through mental battles, don't care what any fighter says. You go through a mental battle, everyone's battle's different, My battle in that fight was, I am fighting a man who I have not seen anybody break.